the other. If you guys don't know who Steve-O is, he's the guy from the Jackass movies. The Jackass movies are, he's famous for such
being a jackass, basically.
he stapled his testicles to his leg, and other, in Jackass stunts. So yeah, this is who Jeremy Corbell's rubbing elbows with now, and totally full of himself, talking about himself like he, it's, oh, I made a documentary, it's so easy, and and oh, he's just like, it was bad, man. And it just made me think, like, I need to start getting into video editing more, and the presentation, because it's really like, it's like working in a restaurant, man. We got good quality ingredients, but we're not serving them up right, whereas he's taking
Agreed, brother. Like,
taking
short quality of
He's-
research, presentation, and even guests are way better than any of these fools. And
yeah.
they've had you. And another thing I have to point out is that lots of these truther YouTube channels that spread the narratives and stuff, they are only 3-4 years old, and they're now all at 100,000 subscribers. You've been stuck at 100,000 subscribers for 3 or 4 years now, and literally should be at millions. It's insane what they do.
Yeah, they've held it back. They've definitely held back the material, and it's because of all the classified stuff that we've talked about on this program. Let's be honest. It's, if we weren't reporting on real sensitive information and stuff that they don't want you to know, they wouldn't be doing this. And also, they didn't like my scientific stance on COVID of not trusting the science and questioning the narrative, and asking people to, telling people that, the scientific method involves control groups and,
right, and
things of this nature. And
wonder if, like, the control group, and you bring that up, and how that is like the cornerstone of any real science and the scientific method, and that there was a lot of rumors and stories going around of people getting saline shots half the time or something. And I wonder if they did do a control, and only 50% of what they gave out were actually what they said it was, and then the other 50 was just saline water. And then there you'd have 50% herd immunity, like that would be the same as the rest, if per se, it gives you a higher chance of getting it or something. But
it's hard to know everything that went on, because there's so many different players involved and so many different times, and then there's different batches. So like one batch was different with a different process than this other batch was made with, and all that. That's just it's a mess. It is a mess to try to track through. But the thing is, right? So
I gotta interject. The batches, for those that don't understand and don't know what Jeremy's talking about, real science, anyone that understands CRISPR technology and what's going on, every batch is a different, you 3D print, essentially, like as a, analogy, the virus code, and that is the batch of what they were doing. And one batch of this SARS-CoV, whatever it was, that had, I think, 96% identical to the 19 version from Wuhan, was documented in the Winnipeg 4-level Canadian virology lab in 2018 or 2016, I think it was. That it was in Winnipeg virology lab, and 3 Chinese foreign national exchange students working at our Canadian Winnipeg virology lab were caught smuggling this variant from the Canadian lab, and this was documented by the RCMP in the Ottawa, Parliament. So to claim it came from a bat is just insane, when Canada can, it's documented, owned.
Well, they had the CIA's emails with Fauci, and that shows now that they were trying to snuff the lab leak hypothesis. They were trying to shut that up and derail the news media. Was encouraged not to talk about it, and to call people
Successfully
racist
did.
and other things for even suggesting it. They successfully did for many months, held it off, but yeah, it was it's kind of interesting, all the pre uh plan, like all the drills and pre-plans of event 201, and then there's a lot of sketchy stuff went on. The CDC lied and Fauci lied. I mean, that's provable. So it's hard to understand when I go to a video like this and I see like all these people that are just like, it seems like people that are just stuck on their side of the narrative and are haters of Brett, and they're not giving him real credit for the work he's done, and they just want to see him fall, because they're trying to hang him on the statement that he made on that debate that I had with Michael Shermer. They don't show me or talk about me at all on this, which I thought was kind of funny. And I went on there to actually share the full debate so that maybe some of those people who are interested would actually go and watch the full debate and check it out. Yeah, I thought that was curious that, so this video came out with this guy, Debunk the Funk with Dr. Wilson, and he had these 3 experts supposedly that he talked to have on. And of course, they're people who work directly for the vaccine industry and companies,
No
so no
bias
conflict of
or
interest or bias there. So 3 genuinely, concerned experts in immunology that just want to share the facts and truth with us. So and I hope that that they're all telling the truth and that they're right about some of the things that they're alleging, because they're saying there's no evidence for this happening, but there's no evidence that it's not happening either, and we really have to wait like 5 years to see any of that. So and I was discussing some of this with some of the biologists and other colleagues that I know.
just the level of
We think that,
coincidences,
well,
right? Like,
the thing is, right, it would probably have taken them 10 more years of study to make something that's gene specific and really untraceable and hideable. Just
well,
think if their real goal was
I
depopulation, because there's the whole rumors that the vaccine came out of DARPA, the DARPA vaccine came out of a DARPA,
the one that got released. And
uh,
that one could have been
yeah,
gene specific, and it could have been an attack to false flag to, make the other look guilty, and that simultaneously they let out the common flu one at home. What was it, Fort
it's a
Bray,
mess,
whatever the
dude.
Fort one was, that apparently that second like non-deadly strain came from.
Fort
And it's like
Detrick, yeah.
Fort Detrick, and it's like you would naturally do that and you would release that in your general population at the same time or even before releasing the deadly one on the other side where you're planting the evidence of it. And why I stress the Winnipeg Virology Lab and the 2016 documentation of it, it's because if Canada has it, a little vassal of the US and NATO, then of course the US obviously has it. And the fact that Russia was the first country to come out with their own vaccine for it, and that it wasn't an mRNA one, it was an actual like old school vaccine with like the dead virus in it, that would also have literally take like a decade to make, manufacture, have on
Right.
hand and do.
So
So
they
it's
could,
just
yeah,
so
we'll
much.
see. In 10 years, if half the population dies, then we'll have a real serious cause for concern. By then, maybe it will be too late, but who knows? I just don't think that it's plausible that they rolled it out too quick and this fast. Maybe they did. Maybe this was like the end times, and this is was Armageddon, and they literally just like
Or
did.
more
But
likely was just human ignorance, arrogance,
yeah,
frick
I
up,
think
F
a lot
up,
of that and
and
through for profit,
accidentally,
and
right? And that even
some of
if
the
it
profit
was,
stuff might have been set up
so
in advance. Like
evidence towards that, and why I suspect that is because of the U.S. Army random war games with China at Wuhan, as well as the Microsoft what do you call it? Virtual gaming of it, supposedly a month or two before the actual event broke out and happened. And what that looks like to me is that it accidentally got leaked from there. They called in everybody to go in, assess, do the best that they could with it. As soon as like they're like, yeah, it's a go, they gave the go ahead to like America to be like, yeah, you know, everyone release the flu-like non-deadly one to get the herd immunity up and get your antibodies up towards the bad one. And that the first couple weeks or few months of it, there was all those stories and videos of like in what looked like insane deaths in both China, but also Korea, as well as Iran. And that the fact that it was in, you know, that specific genome compared to the rest, who knows, right? But
yeah, and remember, you got fired for questioning the science. So doctors were getting fired for their jobs. You know, people were getting fired from their jobs for not taking the jab.
Anybody and everybody would lose their social media accounts for just posting it on social media and claiming the science,
Yeah,
questioning
because
it for a year and a half.
you're endangering public health and safety by, you know, spreading dangerous misinformation, they would claim. And, you know, this is kind of like, well, people were dropping in the streets, and you know what? It's crazy is I refused to take the jab. My entire family all took it, and they were saying on the media that if you have, you know, for Thanksgiving, don't have your unvaccinated family members at Thanksgiving, and you know, it caused this whole controversy in my family. They almost didn't want me to have me at Thanksgiving.
More divide
I
and
came
conquer at
anyway.
the home, right? At the very
I
core
caught
basic, they had to.
I caught COVID from my family at that Thanksgiving, and they were all fully vaccinated, and I wasn't. So it was just like, oh, that was just the icing and the crux on the cake
Right,
for me,
well,
man. It was
trusted
just,
judo, my Canadian dictator, he was what, got the jab 3 times and caught it 3 times? Like, that's a
yeah,
great success.
you can
That's
debunk because eventually, as the debunking catches on, enough people like share it, and you know, so like in the early days, I was sharing that information on Bob Lazar. I still do every once in a while, but now there's enough informed people out there that they're doing the debunking already, and stuff goes and gets shared around. And well, that's unfortunate that sometimes people's you know, UFO science experiment start and end. I mean, their science journey down the UFO rabbit hole of science start and end with Bob Lazar. A lot of times, so that's kind of why I've done what I've done to try to not just turn people off from this, and to try and bring more people into questioning the science, and being more proactive in learning about this stuff, and you know,
I
question
would
it because
love for
uh,
us to like just actually have a conversation with Bob, because I have so many questions. Because it's like, it, why are you claiming you need this freaking particle accelerator to make a hydrogen car fuel functionable? Like, it's so insane. You literally need a 3.5 volt battery and some salt water, and you can have a saltwater car, hydrogen car like Stanley Myers. But
is this you're talking about the Bendall stuff now? Is this where we're at? No, sorry.
just electrolysis in general and the hydrogen fuel from
Because
water.
we gotta get the thing is we gotta get Bendall. I don't know. He's being evasive. Carlson's not joining either, and you know,
We'll pull up some of their work right now.
I want to. There's a
Professor
video that I
Hogan.
want to bring up. Actually, yeah. I didn't have it up here originally, but let's go. Let me just go to my history real quick, and I'm gonna bring up a video that I was just watching.
So my main thing with Bob Lazar though is right. He's like trying. It's like if he's inspiring people into like, even if his story isn't true, but the actual overall case is, that he's was bringing awareness. It was like soft disclosure sort of thing, but he's still, it's a gatekeeper. And the biggest one being free energy, and that he's like, oh yes, I have my hydrogen car. It's made from electrolysis. I'm literally getting hydrogen from water using electricity, using solar electricity. So it's completely green and sustainable. But then he throws in this particle accelerator. Like, he's like, oh, but I have a particle accelerator at my place and I need it to make this material to be able to. It has something to do with storing the hydrogen in the tank in a solid state.
Yeah.
And it's insane.
This is the Bob Lazar hydrogen car video. Yeah, and so he switches to So if you think about, right, a particle accelerator, you're making every time you smash the particles together, you're making one new element, like
fusion, right? You're fusing.
So if you were gonna create your own hydrogen, lithium hydride, supposedly he's creating the lithium in a particle accelerator. So he's taking helium atoms and bombarding them with an extra proton that jumps up the two protons inside of a helium nuclei, get the third proton, and it makes lithium, right? So let's think about a molar mass. So a mole of lithium is 10 to the 23rd Avogadro's number, right? 10 to the 23rd atoms. So that means you need 10 to the 23rd of these particle collisions to create 1 mole of that stuff. Now,
question.
It probably needs like 50 something moles to make the amount of lithium hydride for those storage tanks that we saw in his trunk of his car. And this would have taken
the amount of energy and resources for this extra step.
Just do the math.
Absolutely insane, right? So it's like, oh, it's not economically feasible. Is all
right? Because his whole thing,
like,
his whole story. And then his whole shtick is he runs United Nuclear, so he supplies people with hard to get things that are government regulated and hard to get and stuff. And that in itself is kind of sketchy because, what better place for the government to keep tabs on those types of things than through someone like Bob Lazar, because he's where people are ordering this stuff from,
right, the honey pot.
He's the honey pot,
still pimping that honey pot, old Bobby. And
the lithium hydride, right? It's way easier to buy lithium in bulk or lithium hydride.
Even that, it's just way easier from, instead of adding in the step of lithium hydride and particle accelerator and any of that bullshit. Just how about, okay, your water, your little bit of electricity, boom, electrolysis turns it into hydrogen, and then just straight into the fuel injection into your motor or your engine, that your combustion that you're using it. Then you're not having to waste or worry about storage, the energy of going into storage, of doing the transfers from gas to solid back to gas, as well as manufacturing this lithium hydride. And it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, how would you do it in a particle accelerator? You didn't show the setup. You didn't really get into all that, because I would have loved to see, like you'd have to have a couple billion collisions per second, and then run the thing for a couple of years in order to make a usable amount, and God knows how much energy and electricity that would take,
right? Like, it's just it takes it from like, okay, we're talking about free hydrogen and green renewable energy that can free the planet, like hydrogen fuel from water. Here we go. And then boom, there, we're putting another impossible roadblock right attached with it. Like,
sorry, I forgot to mention that it takes 200,000 terajoules of terawatt hours of energy to make this stuff, right? But you can get a couple miles out of it, free energy.
That's my first question.
Again, People aren't getting the science. So let's bring up some other the free energy.
Speaking of the science, I have to give one key thing for nuclear fusion, cold fusion, and the energy transfer, and the difference between the inefficient particles accelerator smashing atom together method as opposed to in water and electrolysis and just a tiny little bit of electricity, and then you're working with pure solid or liquid, but it's liquid matter, not gas, for density and the physics, like the pressure and matter of these reactions, and that when you are just for transmutation and fusion in general, and if you truly understand this and apply it to what I'm saying here, that these same reactions and technologies that they've been trying to put into the tokamaks and all the plasma fusion and hot fusion, if you apply this in water in the cold fusion plasma arc aspect of it, well, it's bringing it to the momentum of just water to nuclear reaction to new element, as opposed to needing some sort of particle accelerator and like the terahertz energy of the sun to make these reactions happen. And that heavy, we cover heavy water maybe.
So I got some questions about this. So I just want to show this video and ask a couple things about what's going on
it's
here.
going to be about the 7th time we've done it, which is using just a regular petrol engine. And all we've done is we've retrofit. You can see we've done nothing other than retrofit at various points the 3 components. So you've seen the one, which is the ionizer, the bubbler down here, which will show bubbling water with its steel wool inside. We're using the left one only. And then the really fantastic thing that we've got to show you today is the catalytic resonator, which goes right into the exhaust there. So if you can see, it just...
Yeah, this ball thing is a thunderstorm generator. It's like a Hilsch vortex tube inside of a Hilsch vortex tube.
Fascinating.
Underneath there, it goes just... It's actually accepting the exhaust from the generator, and then it's once it's done its thing.
Yeah, so the fuel goes in through here and then in the middle or something, and then the exhaust comes out around it. So it exhaust swirling this way, fuel swirling up this way through another middle tube, and right. So
the over efficiency aspect and why they're adding the exhaust back into the reaction in this specific dynamic.
Isn't it heat recycling?
Well, that's 100%.
They're preheating the fuel, the incoming fuel, and
heat in it, as well as that the exhaust, the electrolysis, the exhaust is making some oxygen in that mixture, and then by combining that pure oxygen or that high ratio oxygen back in with your hydrogen before putting it back into your combustion, then
supposedly that's what's going on. Although we'd have to get in there and really test it and get one of these things and really run some deep tests on it, because that's what they claim. And I agree, that sounds all good and dandy, but I
100%. And with
Jeremiah through the bottom here, as
what did Jeremiah? Jeremiah invited him on if he's here.
Yeah, I'll message him again as well, and I got him to replicate a couple of these cold fusion reactions, electrolysis ones, where he got the white plasma state arc, where it seems like it was sustaining, combining 2 hydrogens into helium. We have to remake that in a more solid, like equipment, anyways, that it can be
some of this stuff needs to.
Point being,
models
when he
not enough.
That reaction, he was saying the amount of heat coming out of the electrolysis of that water compared to the small amounts of voltage and amperage that was going in and causing that arc plasma into it, he was like shocked and like, I'm pretty sure he stated, and he's like, man, this is definitely looking like several times over Unity in that aspect of it as well. So it's that we need to now replicate it with a bit more professional setup and better equipment to get sustained results, and then capture the gases coming off of it and prove that we're actually transmutating the hydrogens into helium, as well as measuring the heat energy coming off of it. And that how these over efficiencies work is that you could then use the boiling water, the steam coming off of that reaction, and pump it into a steam turbine system as well with it, right? So it's
but
gases and so on.
Too simple. And we've proven this.
But what if, right? So like in this part of the video, he turns this thing on. They actually run it. So they have this box out that actually tests the this is what the setup they have connected to this car, and it's just ghastly. You couldn't even drive this thing with this. You'd have to like hide that or tone it down or rig it in the engine and stuff.
right,
just,
like mass
it's
producing the engineers would.
I guess they could do that. So
just a prototype, easy to access, right? If you're working on experimenting, the parts you want above, easy to fix and tinker with.
So this is sorry, that was loud, and but I want to show, like, right down here he reaches under, so he's got these yellow valves, and I showed that earlier in the video that there's a yellow valve under there, right where he reaches at this part when it turns to 0, and it's possible that there's like a valve that just opens up the exhaust to divert it to let it out, and then that would cause this to drop to 0. So maybe there's like a trick going on here. I think that it's just kind of weird that he flips 3 things instead of just 2, and then reaches down and then flips that third one on the bottom there where I saw another valve earlier in the video. I just want to know what is going on there. I'd like a more detailed schematic and picture of that whole setup. I wish that he had gone there with the camera and really showed that, because that would have told me right away if there's some kind of trick or sleight of hand, going on there. Yeah, I have a lot of questions about this, and I'd like to have one of these things brought into a lab and really analyzed and looked at in more detail. I have some friends who worked on some similar technologies and have some things to say about it as well. About the idling efficiencies versus under load. So it would be interesting to, see this thing running and then actually put it under a load, like have that generator actually, powering something, heavy duty camper, or, some equipment or some, stuff and see how
There was a couple of presenters and groups, I think out of Texas, that it was either last year's or a few years ago's Tesla techs that were doing that themselves. And like
200 efficiency plus 200% efficiency under load is great. That's a huge deal. Plus 200 efficiency and idle, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't do anything for us.
Right, you got to be doing the work. The load has to be moving 100%.
Right. So
200% of 0 is still 0.
Right. You can sit there and tweak 0. There's million people work miracles tweaking that 0. And that's but yeah, there's more to it. So yeah, I'd like to see. So this is this is interesting, man. I don't know if there's like a valve down here. I don't know what's going on with it, man. I would just like to be able to experiment with this technology live and be able to sit there and man, I so kicking myself in the ass. Like, I wish if I could have just not gone to Tesla Tech last year and gone this year instead.
Much
right?
more easy than
Could have been there for all this.
Right. So next year we will both be there. That is the goal. So I'm going to start doing some crowdfunding stuff 4 trips for next year. So
Yeah,
this
baby.
is channel Metal Press TV. It's this 12 years ago, and it's a hydrogen from water hybrid mixture, and it's literally just 2 jars of one of water with electrolytes, one a spit jar that collects the hydrogen, and then the hose going into the injector into the burn explosion, right? So I'll play it with the volume here, let the guy explain. This seems extremely easy to reproduce and test.
And they would like you to believe this is just water, electricity, and some baking soda at about 29 amps. We found that we can inject this in the state of vacuum into our engine and double our mileage under certain circumstances. Now, I'm running a V8 350 and have been for over 30,000 miles. It all starts with the wiring. You get some number 10 gauge wire, 2 conductor, and run it to a switch, which you put under your dash. I am using a regular 120 volt light switch, which is rated at about 20 amps at 125 volts. I'm only running at about 13.8 volts DC. The switch is not worn out or burned up yet. It seems to work flawlessly. This is the ground wire that I connect to my frame. If my battery was over here, I would have put it to my battery just for convenience. Now I'm going to set the jug right here next to the master cylinder. I just happen to have room for a gallon jug. This is the vacuum line that goes to your carburetor. This is the master cylinder here that is your brakes, controls your braking. So we're going to take advantage of the vacuum pressure of the engine right here where it's strongest. Can get like 16 inches or more of vacuum at certain times. And we're going to set a pad here and install the jar right here. We're going to put about 3/4 full on the water. And I've already added some baking soda to it as an electrolyte. Now this is very fancy
BurnEye
cell
jar.
element design. Don't be disillusioned by how fancy this looks, because very simply you can get 3 faceplates.
Literally, though, these are BurnEye jars, and that's the whole point. And I've literally been working with these, and in jars that I'm doing, you can produce with a very little amount of voltage and energy, large amounts of hydrogen, especially when you, like he's showing here, making large surface area explosion, where then these successions of plates, right, you're creating huge, ridiculous amounts of surface area for these reactions, and then it's just a little bit of flow creates a lot of electrolysis and hydrogen production.
Yeah, 3D printing and the etching is going to be able to do astronomically more for surface area in terms of like that in the future. But how long do these things last? I mean, does it break down the metal? Does it wear down the metal? I mean, like
the anode a bit, definitely, and it depends on the metal. Tungsten actually takes a very long time. Silver, a pretty decent long time as well. Steel, it's, it'll probably run about 3 months per reaction, but hey, if
3 months,
you just
going
through a steel cartridge every 3 months, and all you need is to put in water, salt water, baking soda. I think that's pretty affordable. So
you can get 3 to 5 years out of a water heater coil, same kind of deal, but maybe a little bit. Maybe if you anodized them or galvanized them or some kind of electroplating.
Zinc is one of
zinc
the
electroplates,
to erode off the anode and eat away.
Yeah, cobalt, titanium.
For sure. Titanium is good. I've tried it. That actually lasts a while as well. But yeah, I'll play a little bit more. It's only a few minutes long. And like, this is so easy and so easy to reproduce. And
keep it going.
High grade stainless, some Teflon nuts and bolts, and for about $5 you can make this. You have notched it for the wires. Put the positive in the middle, put the negatives on the outside, and boom, you've got it. I've just made a more advanced version. You run the wires through the lid like this. I'm going to install this down here, and we're going to seal this up. And we're going to show you how this thing
the sodium
produces gas.
bicarbonate might cause the erosion to,
This is the
increase.
positive wire, which I
Definitely.
run to the
Would.
alternator. I've installed a 30 amp auto reset fuse on both sides, positive and negative. So I have redundant fuse protection in case of current overload. And the fuel cell will occasionally pull too much power. We want it to automatically shut off. We connect to the alternator because we have a lot more magnetic field right there, much more energy available than connecting it to the battery. So I highly recommend that you connect it exactly as you see in this fashion. This is the dryer jug. It's just another jug that's sealed off that has a particular way of plumbing. One long hose which goes to the fuel cell, the other hose barely in the jug which goes to the vacuum system of the engine. You put it down in the jug and the overflow is automatically sucked back up into the other fuel cell. We've used poster putty, which is liquid Teflon, as a sealant. It is the most recyclable thing you can use. You can use it over and over and over. It's poster putty is the brand name for it. Don't endorse any products, but I don't have any choice. It's really the best thing you can use. Plastic hoses is what we use on our vacuum pressure fuel cell. It is part of the thermodynamics of the entire process. Again, poster putty placed around the hoses on the vacuum pressure fuel cell in the state of vacuum will suck into the small crevices and will not allow leakage. It has been working flawlessly for many years on my vehicle. I have over 30,000 miles running on the vacuum pressure fuel cell so far, and my engine performs incredibly well.
30,000 miles?
It's a little tacky at times.
All right.
When it gets hot, it will really seal well. This shows you some of the production in the vacuum state. It's a lot of hydrogen oxygen gas. It's enough to actually cool the water. There's 25 amps right now flowing through there, and we want to run it as close to 30 amps as possible.
As well.
So what is he doing? He's creating
a tremendous amount of gas.
HOH gas. He's
creating
hydrogen gas.
And I'll do a live reaction right now with Bert and Ernie and show you, like, literally with a 5-volt cell phone charger plugged into the wall, it can get a substantial amount of hydrogen coming off the cathode sides. Always. Oh my gosh! We haven't been harassed by the porn bots in literally 6 months, and as soon as we start going talking hydrogen, guess who's back? Okay? Free energy, hydrogen.
Free energy. It doesn't work though. The X Prize had it in their contest and it didn't work. It just sounds like, hey, you just hook up this pickle jar inside your engine and you get free, 1,000 miles a gallon.
Right.
I don't know.
I guess let's play a couple the fish off.
Let's see what Mike has to. So we got to bring Mike in. Let's
it will actually produce
wants to join too. Keep it going. Let's keep it going. We're gonna.
There's even more hydrogen and oxygen gas as the engine gets going. The RPMs are high, and the magnetic field is coming off of that alternator. Baking soda, Arm & Hammer, highly recommend it. It's the only one that won't foam up. Cheap stuff, you'll end up with foaming in the water, and you don't want foamy water. It's going to have some nasty buildup eventually, but don't worry, it's not a problem in the vacuum pressure fuel cell. The extra dryer jar in front takes care of anything that would fly into the engine. It's a very interesting system and has been used for many, many miles. A lot of people sell this for hundreds of dollars. You can build it yourself for about $55 in parts. Most of that is fuses and wires. And it is important that your alternator is able to handle the current. It will pull about 29 amps. So you have to make sure that your alternator is in good condition. When you get this thing hooked up right, you should see water coming out of your exhaust. As it gets going, the amount of water coming out could be tremendous. Depending on your engine, if you have any carbon buildup or nasty stuff in your engine, it will generally blow out right onto the ground in front of your eyes, steam cleaning the engine. This is definitely a technology that has potential We hope that you take advantage of it. Thanks for watching.
Being cleaning the engine, essentially it cleans it.
This is like
And
tweaker
the key part,
science,
and
man.
like, the chemistry is honest. The chemistry is honest that instead of CO2, carbon monoxide,
Yeah.
that comes off of fossil fuels, you're literally putting out H2O, water, mist, vapor as your reaction.
It's pure pickle juice that comes right out my exhaust and pickle juice, and I can just bottle it right up and pickle my cucumbers in it and drink it.
Do you
This is
mind showing your camera pegs? If
Yeah, this sounds like it would be great for your engine. It would just cleans your engine right out.
Well, we
Man,
might
you just
careful
put
with
this.
who we let in tonight, Jeremy. We might with the porn
Yeah, I know
bots,
Mike though.
they might. Oh, I know Mike, but there was a pegs there. I asked them to put their camera on, and they disappeared.
Don't bring any porn bots in the
Exactly.
chat. No, we don't need those guys coming in and
they come authenticate. Yeah, must authenticate.
So this pickle jar with this pickle juice that makes your engine burn super clean. Does it dissolve your engine parts or any of the metal inside? I mean, this is corrosive.
Apparently, she's saying it actually steam cleans it, and
steam
I've heard
cleans
that from
it.
a few.
Oh my!
I've heard that from several people that I've talked to.
This is a primitive fuel cell. This is nothing complicated like Stan Meyer.
It's great.
This is just a primitive device,
Yeah, I mean, well, it's made with pickle jars, man, and
Well, no, electrically, it's primitively done too, because he's not pulse DCing anything. He's just straight constant current DCing it, which is not what Stan Myers was doing. He was pulse DCing.
And Stan Myers was much more advanced.
There's all kinds of ways to disturb the water, the hydrogen, and all kinds of means
to crack it, right? So I heard there's like some way that you get the right frequency and you hit it within the catalyst.
Well, what I heard what Stan Myers was doing specifically was he was doing a
I've never seen one that you can get more energy out than you put in. So it's almost like you're just taking extra voltage off your alternator and putting
the concept behind doing that is you have to use the electromagnetic. Jeremiah explained this well. You have to use the electromagnetic field to disrupt the gravimagnetic field, which is a different field. But the electromagnetic field can tune into the gravimagnetic field, which are two different magnetic fields. The gravimagnetic field is the cosmic field. It's abundant. If you can use the electromagnetic field to resonate with the gravimagnetic field correctly, in theory, you will have plenty of overunity, but there's another thing about pulsing an inductor, when the inductor's off, there's a entropy happening there, an entropy force. They call that the reverse voltage. So you got a coil, you give it forward voltage from left to right, and you remove that charge, and now it creates its own voltage from right to left, reverse polarity, which is a whole different phenomenon. And for years they've been throwing that phenomenon away, using surge suppressing technology on your devices. And the old TVs, they used to blow up because of that phenomenon. Like when you turn off the old TVs, they used to explode. So they had to develop a way to capture this flyback voltage. And they've created a flyback coil that they put on the back of these old TVs, the tube TVs. After those incidents, when they first released the first tube TVs, they didn't have flyback coils to protect the TVs when the clients turned off their TV, and some people were reporting their TVs are blowing up. Yeah, exploding, boom. And when they turn off the TV, it would bang, because the flyback, there's a huge coil being energized in that TV, the cathode ray tube.
I look forward to the day that Bendall or any of you guys can bring your pickle juice I mean, no, I'm sorry, I shouldn't call it that, but the HHO generators or this down and show
So
us.
yeah, Stan Myers, he was
The
doing
You know,
what's
I
token
called a
is
just don't
still
frequency
think,
sweep.
the
from
key
what I know
part
about
is
chemistry and
everyone.
physics, I just don't see how you're getting more energy out of it. I mean, we've done this. I put one of these on Jeff Peckman's car in 2009 with my friend who has the patents on a lot of this stuff that I talked about. I'm trying to get him to come on and do an interview with us. He came on one other time with Bernie and me a while back. So Bernie's met this person. But I'm trying to get him on to, talk about his experience and the engineering and the actual, the tests on this stuff with the efficiencies and that, because some of the claims being made here by some of these guys like Bendall and Carl
All I
Sagan
can tell you
and
from
those
a
guys,
a schematic point of view, I see efficiency when I look at these circuits, like a lot of efficiency. Some of these circuits, that people are messing with.
well, I'm just
I can see
skeptical of
I'm
some of the
saying
claims.
the one that has the exhaust going in, and if it's able to create a plasma arc within the water in the electrolysis reaction, and thus starts heating up the water with the small amounts of like power going through just at the high amperage or whatever in that plasma arc.
Right.
That's
Well, he's using
if you
DC
then
forward voltage.
Yeah.
utilize that heat energy back into your overall reaction, those would be the most promising, I would say, as well as it's putting the exhaust back into the recombustion of it, where you're taking your oxygen and putting it back in with that hydrogen into it. Those would be the biggest potential, I would say, to see something like that. And with Jeremiah's results, that the couple of times we ran it, and it looked like it was producing more heat energy out than electricity going in. That could be something to it. But yeah, let's see this guy right here. Looks like he's got a running one in his car. Says it saves him 56%. So even if you're saving 56% of gas from water, like it's 50%.
At the gas pump. How did I do it? My truck is now a water hybrid. Check this out. Well, technically, it's a hydrogen on demand hybrid. What we have here is distilled water with 1 teaspoon of baking soda used as a catalyst. We tickle that water with 12 volts of electricity, and what it does is it separates the hydrogen from the oxygen. That gas is then sent into the combustion chamber, where I was formerly getting a 30% burn. That's right, in all of your gas vehicles, you only get a 30% fuel burn, which translates to 70% of your fuel, of your gas, comes out of your tailpipe. Now, however, I'm getting a 100% burn in my combustion chamber, which means a few benefits. Number one, after a couple hours of running hydrogen, it had blown years of deposits out of my engine. My engine actually idles so quietly in city traffic I can't even hear it. My torque increased, my horsepower increased significantly. And like I said, right now I'm getting 56% better gas mileage highway, and I'm getting 35% better gas mileage.
Air coming out of my tailpipe is so clean that I can hook it right into my Aunt Thelma's emphysema technique.
Just kidding. This is not producing a high rate of
you're
hydrogen.
Not storing hydrogen.
I can cure my grandmother's,
he's just placeboly happy.
Lung disease.
He's just happy.
This right here.
He's just happy he built something.
Paying for expensive oxygen tank for her. We can just hook the tailpipe of my car right up to grandma's
videos all the time. I've seen much better production of hydrogen on video than what you're seeing here, and that's when you pulse DC.
We gotta just stop talking about videos and just start trying it ourselves. This is the point. Is these are very simple to produce, and that
Bernie, I guarantee you, if you do what this guy's doing right here, the same product. If you build the same thing, you see what he's doing here, and instead of giving it constant current DC, and you get a pulse width modulator, and you pulse it instead, you're going to get better performance, better results than you're seeing in the video here. You're going to get much more hydrogen than you're seeing produced here.
This is very little what I see coming off of here from like even compared to what I make. And
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, constant current, not to give constant current DC a bad rep, but constant straight DC line, it works, but it's not as good as a pulse. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, we've been on this
Let's
topic.
see this one again. Can you finish playing this one you were showing with
That's
the
why I
double
say it's
vortex?
primitive.
I'm at this topic too. I'm done with this topic pretty soon.
Fair enough. Next topic.
Because I need to. Honestly, I want to get these people
Back
in
to
a
the
lab
Fermi.
where I can actually like test this thing live and run real experiments on it and get something done. Because right now it's just like I've seen so many free energy scam videos, dude.
Oh yeah.
that I just like anytime I look at this, especially dude there with his friggin'
If you want a free
mohawk
energy motor, the Stirling engine is not a fake. That's over 100 years old. It works on temperature differential. You could put it on a cold surface.
Yeah. That's
And
what's needed.
Yeah, onward. All right, so this
That's
is
real
basically
physics.
I just gonna hold this one on the back burner.
it works
until
off
we
of
can-
diaphragms, you know, and airflow, cold and hot air. You know,
If we can't get Bendel to bring a machine out, or my buddy to bring something out that we can test and run some proof of concept on, then I'm just gonna have to wait till next year at Tesla Tech for this one to get it to dive into it again. Because yeah.
I myself am going to set a goal of over the winter make my own and start actually testing it because
I actually run it under load to see about that too, and then run it for like 3 months.
Look, they're back again. They don't like hydrogen. I swear, man. It's
Run it for like 3
hydrogen.
months so that we can see exactly how long it if it burns out the engine or wear and tear on components and stuff, because that was another issue that people raised and had questions about. So I asked if it would make it, if we open portal to Disneyland and Mickey Mouse jumped through the portal, if that would make him an interdimensional being. A little over 2/3 of you voted yes on that one, and just under a third voted yes, and the most people voted no. So no, probably does not technically make him an interdimensional being, even though he just stepped through an interdimensional wormhole. He's still a 3D being. He's not a being from a higher dimension, I guess. So this is the definition of this. But again, there's
to us, Mickey Mouse is 2D.
Yeah. So, but I'm talking about the actor in the suit there, over in Disney World. In any case, so this was I wanted to get into this before we got sidetracked with the Bendel and the that stuff. The vaccine. We talked about this. The Brett Weinstein's response video there, and I'm still waiting for to see what comes out of that, and more scientists to speak out about this issue and come to the truth about this, man. Are we all going to die? Are they depopulating the earth with this vaccine? Doesn't look like it. I think that's kind of far-fetched, but who knows? We'll see in 5 years if 50% of the people who took the
look into Judy Mikovits on that one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's a bunch of people that said it on there's people saying it too on Jesse Ventura's show and stuff back. Is that the woman's name?
Judy Mikovits.
Yeah, Mikovits. Yeah, that was the one on. Was that the one on Jesse Ventura?
She was employed by the CDC for more than, I think, 2 decades. She was one of the top scientists over there.
Interesting. We get like top scientists that turn whistleblowers, man. Those are like
right.
And let's compare like people like her, right? Because I've never heard of her, and this is how it usually happens with key whistleblowers, is that you never hear anything about them. How do you spell her last name?
I think Mikovits.
Yeah, there it is. There, so she came right up. Mikovits. Yeah. Oh yeah, this was her. Oh yeah. I remember her.
Some of the things she says correlates with some of the things George Carlin said about his experience with polio as a kid, and he said he jumped in the river, and they told everybody don't jump in the river or you get sick, and nobody jumped in the river. And he said he jumped in the river and he's the only one that didn't get sick. That's George Carlin's story anyway. with polio in his childhood. So you can take that one however you want. I mean,
Interesting story. I was the only one that didn't get the jab and didn't get sick. And drinking my golden waters, my colloidal silver gold water.
But back then, everybody got vaccinated for polio too.
Don't recommend doing
it. It was required. And it was, so this is it's a bunch of stuff, man.
And we get vaccinated today for that.
With all the vaccine stuff, I just encourage people to ask their doctor. Always ask your doctor about it. Ask them for a vaccine expert. That's what I always ask. Is like, I
once you're born, you don't need any more. I don't think so.
I like to know if the hospital has a vaccine expert or someone that he can talk to, and always ask for vaccine safety information and information on the testing and verification of the safety of the vaccine.
Difference between mRNA gene editing and just a dead cell. It's for your antibodies, your immune system to fight and produce antibodies, right? Like,
this is one of the main questions. That's one of the main questions I had about this, because they were talking about, you get the shot and some of it goes into your heart and fucks up your heart muscle. That's what Brett was claiming with this thing.
Yeah,
but it's designed to do that.
For a virus,
And they're saying that, well, this goes into your leg and it gets absorbed in your skin tissue and your lymph nodes, and it doesn't really travel far from the injection site. And I was like, well, then how the hell does this vaccine protect your entire body from COVID if it only goes into one part of your body and stays there? This is just like, I don't know. Some of the stuff that they say just doesn't pass a basic logic 101 test. And then when I call it out and question it in the comments, I just got a bunch of people that say, oh, you're a fucking idiot. You don't understand the first thing about this. And how dare you question the fucking, any of this? And it's like, okay, well, maybe.
Anybody heard of the swine flu?
Guys, I don't want to.
Number 2.
We can go down such a deep rabbit hole. I gotta wrap this up kind of soon. I'm going over almost 2 hours, but
texting Jeremiah here.
Jeremy, just number 2 just got into the chat here. So
hey.
And,
you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
But yeah, just as far as that stuff goes, I just make sure you ask questions and get them to answer you and look into some of this stuff too, because I just don't always trust all these people. Daniel Sheehan, I think we can trust Daniel Sheehan. He helped with the Pentagon Papers. Daniel Ellsberg and Mark Felt, of course, the whistleblower back then. He's dealing with these 40 whistleblowers and David Grusch right now behind the scenes, and he's putting a panel together if the Schumer amendment passes. So they're writing the Schumer amendment bill to try to get this thing passed in Congress legislation now. And if that happens, then there's going to be like an investigative committee or a special committee to investigate. So I guess he's going to put together 9 people. They want a physicist. They want some other people, requirements for who needs to be on the team. I've reached out to Danny, got a hold of him through Tyler Zrodnik, great guy, and he's totally open to talking more. I sent him a whole bunch of information already. He's got it in his hands. He's a super busy guy doing a lot of stuff. So we'll see if he gets back in the next couple of months. I'm trying to get him to come on for an interview and talk about this in some more detail. Of course, some of these things are under wrap too in the meantime, because I don't know, but this would be interesting if he can get this put together, because if we can get that Schumer amendment passed and get a special committee to investigate with subpoena power that can really look into these things, man, we'll get to the bottom of this, because I've already written him a whole guide on who to subpoena, what scientists, the scientists, the names, the whole structure of these organizations, and where to start with it all. And he's hip to it, and he's right on it with us. So this is going to be great. I really hope that this goes somewhere, and if we can get we can keep the pressure up on this and keep those grifters and liars and fraudsters and hoaxers out of the conversation, we can stay hot on the trail of the money and get somewhere with this. But unfortunately, the path's been already blocked and set up with a lot of counterintelligence and disinformation agents and whatnot. So it's really hard to know who to trust or where to get the truth from in this mess. But yeah, I do like Daniel Sheehan. I think that he's doing great things for disclosure. And there's another guy named Daniel Sheehan who's this is the lawyer Daniel P. Sheehan. And then there's another Daniel Sheehan. I think he's at the Daniel Sheehan. I think
Wasn't
he's
it
either
Ashcroft that
CSU
lost or said that they lost all that money? General Ashcroft, back in like 10 years ago, we lost like $5 trillion. It just disappeared. What was that general's name? General Ashcroft, right? Ashcroft.
Dick Cheney was the one that brought it up, I thought.
No, it's Donald Rumsfeld.
Donald Rumsfeld, yes.
But yeah, well, all those guys.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Donald Rumsfeld. There you go.
It's the Bush administration. Yeah, they all that money went to pay for the Afghanistan and Iraq.
They said we lost all.
Well,
they said we lost $2 trillion.
Yeah. So they right,
right. So that's all pre-millennium
money the military had.
That's probably literally your TR-3B budgets and stuff like that.
Who knows? Who knows? Tons of missing, trillions and trillions of missing dollars from the Pentagon budget. So this is the other Daniel Sheehan, and this guy was on APEC and presented, and he does free energy research and is working with he's working with Garrett Modell, I believe, of CSU, on some of real interesting. And we're doing one of these projects that is one of his projects right now with the bipolar membrane experiment. Very interesting stuff. So yeah, keep these Daniel Sheehan guys on the horizon. There's two different ones. So there's the lawyer, and then there's a scientist named Daniel Sheehan. So yeah, weird, huh?
That's an odd coincidence.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely check out those links. The Djinn are interesting entities and creatures.
I heard Snoop Dogg was a big fan of the Djinn.
The Djinn, yeah, he likes gin and juice, right? Sipping on gin and juice, laid back. Snoop Dogg's a huge fan of Djinn. But yeah, for real, yeah. So
the Djinn, though, like for interdimensional stuff, the
Djinn is Islamic.
We know what that is, Mike. We're talking in general, higher dimensional consciousness, and essentially quantum consciousness, and that would have to be a consciousness that exists throughout space-time, and that there's the overall universal space-time as opposed to our third dimensional human space-time.
So that's a good question about consciousness and stuff too, because you know,
yeah, so there's
we go back to that
fifth dimensional, sixth dimensional, essentially, and that when a human dreams, that's fourth dimensional, or like you're on psychedelics out of body, that's fourth dimensional, astral projecting, fourth dimensional.
I can hear it's burning
consciousness. And then if you're able to exist simultaneously in two different places in space-time, that's fifth dimensional consciousness, or like a drone consciousness, maybe insects, or like a higher dimensional thing, right? What
was interesting that Bob Oshler, that NASA scientist interview from '93 that I played right at the beginning, the clip's in the description right below. You can check it out. So what was interesting is that in that he uses the term NHI, non-human intelligence. So that came from a NASA scientist, which I thought was interesting because I never heard that really before Grusch was using it. And I thought that Grusch had made that up. I was kind of a little confused about where he got that from and came through with that. But it does come from a NASA scientist, believe it or not. And so non-human intelligence can be then divided into two categories: biologic and non-biologic. And non-biologic would be cybernetic or AI.
Artificial.
And so then there was discussion about the craft themselves, because they might be this smart skin, polariton condensate, trapped light kind of conscious quantum computer type thing. So the craft itself could be conscious, this conscious entity, but it's an AI conscious. And then the debate is like, oh, can AI be conscious? Is AI the
they
same
would have
consciousness
to
as
exist on like a 5th or 6th dimensional consciousness scale, which is above our own human dimensional consciousness. So that's like on a demigod sort of scale of consciousness above quantum, and then you'd have a god.
Yeah, would they they might have a higher level of consciousness,
right? Exactly.
They might even have a higher level.
An angel and demons, those they could be AI, they could not be, but they would be one above us, and that they could exist through space-time, right? Like they could be like light magnetic energy sort of thing, like stuff like that. And right, and then you could have aliens or potential like bad aliens that were like demons or demigods sort of things, that they would like a type 2 type 3 civilization that then kind of merges into technology as well, that like keeps them like their conscious going and like transferring through space time, kind of like Altered Carbon, if you know what I'm talking about, on Netflix. Or the basically
Altered Carbon is fantastic.
Yeah, right. But like, so
the
any
best series I've ever seen, actually.
Science fiction or like fiction sort of stuff where your consciousness is preserved and exists through different points in space-time, that's a 4th or 5th dimensional consciousness theme, or like society and civilization.
Right on. Well, hey guys, I gotta wrap it up here tonight. Here's the StreamYard link if you want to join the after party. I'm sure Bernie and some of our guests will be sticking around if anyone else wants to jump in. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, AlienScientist. I'm also Alien_Scientist on Twitter. My guest here, Bernie, the Crypto Alchemist. Go check out his channel. Subscribe. I don't know if Mike, do you have a channel, or Jeremy?
Mike does.
So yeah, Mike, if you like this water car stuff and want more of that kind of stuff, what else kind of stuff do you do on your channel, Mike?
I works with shit, you're muted, Mike. Sorry, there we go.
But yeah, go check out Mike's channel, Mike Does. I don't know if he's on right now. We'll post a link to that in the description below. Thank you all for watching, guys. Have a great night, and again, keep up the good work out there. And anything interesting or cool you come across, you think I should know about, blast it out on Twitter. Shoot me a shout out or an email, thealienscientist@gmail.com, and we'll get to it, and we'll get to all your stuff. So thank you guys. Great show, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.